Get off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio Station, AM 1050, FM 106.5, home to the Asian Oprah, and number one talk in the IE. Thank you very much. And streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Spreaker, Streaker, and more. Why so many places? Well, I want to maximize my splatter zone for more hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K words, no Kanye talk, no P. Diddy talk, no T talk. Instead, I want to balance out all the bad news out there with some good news and good topics and good people and good co-hosts. And we are celebrating, folks. This is the 13th year. And we are celebrating all month because I can. And I'm so delighted that some of my favorite guests are here to celebrate with me. We had Lucille Ball's daughter, Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz's daughter, Lucy Arnaz, last week. And this week, hopefully, he's going to pop in Chris Wark, who I had 10 years ago. Chris beat cancer. He's still cancer-free, and I invited him to celebrate, and he said yes. And I'm not sure if it's the time zone or whatever, but I do have another great interview to play for you that is really super interesting and about something you may have remembered on the news. But before we do that, we're going to have breakfast, which is my good life habit, my hashtag Blisscipline. Another great guest that's coming tomorrow is Nellie from Little House on the Prairie. That's not her name. That's her character's name, but that's the easiest way for me to remember. And her name is Allison Arngren. And some of you already listened to her. She's been on her own podcast for a long time. I actually had her on in my first year. So that was 13 years ago. And so it's about time that I have her back to celebrate 13 years. And then, of course, my amazing multiple time guest and friend Layla Ali, the great daughter, who's a boxing champion herself in her own right, undefeated with 4 titles. And then she is the daughter of Muhammad Ali, and she's also a really beautiful friend of mine. We both love my big brother, Michael Bernard Beckwith. And so she will be here Thursday to celebrate my 13 years. And I'm so grateful for that. So you'll have to keep it tuned here. It was a hilarious show on Friday, and I got to celebrate with my co-hosts who did a roast of me, my first ever roast, I believe. And it was very fun and fun-loving and a lot of laughter, which is my favorite sound in the world. So let's go to breakfast, which is... Let me just make sure he's not trying to get a hold of me here. Breakfast is my good life habit. And let me just put this in here. My good life habit, as well as a hashtag Blisscipline that helps you be very... positive first thing in the morning, because the top of the bun is things that you're grateful for outside of yourself. The bottom of the bun is things that we're grateful for inside of ourselves. And I like to have you do that before bed tonight, but I won't be with you before you go to bed tonight. So that's why I am doing it now, so that you have something to model for you for this evening. So let's start with the things that are outside of myself. I am grateful that I got to watch the Congressional Cup. Thank you for that heart, by the way. Thanks for reminding me. My cashew gallery, which is my chat, I am live now, and I'm live every weekday morning. And every time there's a siren, that is a positive affirmation of what I'm doing. So every weekday morning, I'm live here, 9 a.m. Pacific time on my YouTube TV channel. Please resubscribe, hit that button, give me the finger, this one, not the other one, and you'll be linked and get an alert every weekday morning to this show about hope and happiness. And then the following week goes on. Well, so I'm on now on NBC News Radio with 1 week ago. So that's how we rotate. But I'm live every morning, so you can come and chat with me and ask questions, and then you'll be on NBC News Radio next week. So let's see. I am grateful that I have been on 13 years. And that's 679 consecutive weeks and 1,383 podcasts today. And for that, I am truly grateful. I am also grateful that I got to watch the Congressional Cup yesterday on the pier. It is a match racing. And those of you know me, you'll see my posts, Doc Balance on Instagram and Dr. Marissa everywhere else. Just Google Asian Oprah and I'll pop up. But I love racing sailboats, but I actually do fleet racing. And yesterday was match racing and got up close and personal at the pier, and it was beautiful. And I came to support a skipper who I raced against for 18 years in the Catalina 37 One Design fleet. And Dave Hood, just amazing. I can remember when he came in, I shouldn't say this live, but we would all say, I heard, just don't get too close to him because he's learning and starting, and we don't want to get the boats in any kind of close encounter. But 18 years later, he has. I'm just so proud, and that's why I drove straight to the pier to watch, and I caught the second to last race of his, and for him to go 30, I think he's 30th seed, and do so well since the beginning of the race. And it was he made it into the final four, which is such a great feat. And to be there to watch him compete there, and almost made third place, but so I just wanted to say I'm so grateful that, one, I get to sail, and two, that I get to meet people who really are great examples of never give up, and you can do a lot of great things if you put your mind and heart to it. And so I wanted to give him a big gratitude and shout out. Also, I am grateful that I'm so blessed to have two daughters, and it's been a bit since I have expressed gratitude for them. Chloe May is my older one. Sarah Way is my younger one, 27 and 25. They're both up in San Francisco, and they had a tough weekend. They are supporting their auntie, my husband, their father's sister, is in hospice now. And I'm just so grateful and proud of the way that they are so compassionate and show up And so I'm grateful for my daughters. So, yeah, and a breath of peace and comfort to the entire Carpenter family right now as they move through this. And I know that I know where Lulu's going. She's going to the other side. She's not going to be lost, but she's going to be with my dad, my Chinese dad, with my bonus mom, and we all go there, and it's a place where there is no pain. So, in that way, um, I'm releasing all of that peace and comfort to her and her family, including my daughters. All right. And last gratitude is that because of the show, I get to learn so much about people, places, and things. And that's a lineup for the interview that's coming up in a second about, you remember that scandal with John Wilson and a number of other, me and my names. The scandal, the college scandal. You'll remember that. And so I got to interview him. That's coming up. Let's go to the bottom of the bun. The reason why I do what you're grateful for outside of yourself in the top of the bun and then the bottom of the bun is what I think is even more important, which is, do you like yourself? Because you can be grateful for everything outside, but if you don't like yourself, then it's going to be hard to see things well, because it's a muscle. And a lot of us were born told, don't toot your own horn. The nail that stands up is hammered down. That's actual Chinese and Japanese saying. So not a lot of motivation to toot your own horn or to think well of yourself. And so I want you to practice that, because self-love, self-esteem, self-soothing, self-care, I believe, are the foundation of good mental health. And it is Mental Health Mondays. And so highlighting that specifically, that we want to like ourselves, not that we're, all that or better than anyone. We go to the extreme sometimes as Americans when I say, let's love ourselves. Oh, you think you're better than everybody? No, I just want to get to that point where I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at. 88% of the time I'm fabulous. 12% of the time I step in it because I'm human, and that's okay. So that is exactly why we do what we do at the bottom of the bun. All right. So what do I like about myself? I like that I am, let's see, I am resilient. I am, let's see. Okay. I am resilient, and the show 679 weeks later, and she keeps going and going. And in the roast, I'm like the Energizer Bunny, except that the Energizer Bunny needs more batteries himself. So I can't remember. I think that was Dr. Tiffany who roasted me on that. Resiliency, no matter what, I get back up. I appreciate that I love to laugh. It's my favorite sound in the planet. I appreciate my ability to see the best in almost every situation, probably in the situation better than the people. I'm still working on that. I definitely, my primary role model and my hereditary genetics. I came from a very critical line of thinkers and judgers. And so I have to watch myself. It's very easy for me to have some critical thought, and the discipline is that I keep it in my head and not let it get out of my mouth. So, if someone insults me or slights me or says something that is not nice, I keep my response in my head, and I just sort of smile and go, thank you very much. And sometimes I'll go, bless you, or I'll say in my head, if I look like you, I'd be miserable too, which is not nice to say, which is why it stays in my head. But I'll probably do that for the rest of my life because it is part of my makeup, and I don't beat myself up about it because I have other things that I'm good at and that's what I focus on. All right. And that's it for having breakfast with Dr. Marissa. That's the top of the bun. Things that I love outside of myself, I'm grateful for, and things on the bottom of the bun, what I appreciate, what I love, and about myself. And that's what I do before I go to bed tonight. So hopefully you'll do that too. If you continue this good life habit, this hashtag Blisscipline for the next 28 days, then you will sandwich your day in the most positive way. Thanks for joining us for breakfast. And now, before we are continuing to hold on for my guest who agreed to come on for my 13th year celebration, and I am not quite sure. I'm hoping he's okay. Emergency, we confirm, but worst case scenario, I will have him on again or play the first interview. Things have not changed as far as his approach, and you'll enjoy that. But I do have John Wilson's interview with me right now. So let me give you a little promo on it. This is one of those, excuse me, I call it an example similar to what Carol Baskin went through when I interviewed her with the Tiger Kings, as well as the John Bonet last Netflix, I believe it was, expose that looked at the role of media and prosecutors who get a little carried away with their own bias, and the impact is very, very negative. And this is exactly what happened to John Wilson. In his new book, Varsity Blues, The Scandal Within the Scandal, he reveals shocking tactics used by federal prosecutors, Netflix, and the USC, University of Southern California, that led to his wrongful conviction in the infamous college admissions scandal. After spending over 6 years battling federal prosecutors, a global streaming giant, and a prestigious university, he's finally clearing his name. So I'm going to play that one for you right now. So don't go away. I will play that for you. Let's see if there's a teaser here. Oh, there is. I'm going to play this as well. So here we go. Let's see, is this the sound is not cooperating. Let's see. Okay, let's let's do this. Varsity Blues was reported as one of the biggest college admission scandals in history that included the convictions of celebrities like Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman. Now, author John Wilson has written a new book called Varsity Blues, The Scandal Within the Scandal, that reveals the shocking tactics used by federal prosecutors that led to his false arrest and wrongful convictions. Wilson is a father, successful businessman, and Harvard graduate who is sharing his story and the challenges of clearing his name. Please welcome to my studio, John Wilson. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Dr. Marissa.
Absolutely. So please, why is it important for you to tell your story?
Well, I grew up in the projects of Hartford, Connecticut, with a single mom and 3 half siblings. I picked tobacco from the ages of 12 to 16 to help my family scrape by. And education profoundly impacted my life. It enabled me to escape poverty and build a successful career. But none of that prepared me for what I faced with the federal government when they charged me falsely with this crime. It's been 6 years of emotional and financial hell that they put my entire family through. In our book, The Scandal Within the Scandal, shares the untold story about how our family was falsely accused in this case by overzealous prosecutors who can weaponize our system of justice to boost their own careers.
Please tell us about the scandal.
Sure. At its core, this scandal was about Hollywood celebrities, Felicity Huffman, Lori Loughlin, and other people who were confessed felons who basically admitted to cheating on tests or bribing coaches or creating false profiles for their students and children who didn't even play the sport. We didn't do any of those things. Our children were highly qualified based on their own hard-earned merits. For example, our twin daughters got perfect and near perfect test scores on their ACTs. And our son had a world record swimming and was a nationally ranked water polo player who joined the USC team. And none of our money went to coaches. USC gave us a receipt for our donations and has kept our money to this day.
So tell us why you were caught up in this.
Yes, the confessed con man at the center of this scandal was named Rick Singer. He had over 3,000 accounts. 99% of those are what they called wholesome accounts, and parents who were never charged with a crime. I was the only one of Singer's 3,000 accounts who lived in Massachusetts, and I was the hook that the Boston-based prosecutors needed to justify bringing the trials for the Hollywood celebrities and others from California to Boston. And despite the mountains of evidence that the prosecutors had that proved my innocence, it didn't matter. We were simply collateral damage to bring the media spotlights in this high-profile case to Boston.
So that examples of the overreach then.
Yes, the overreach of this case was outrageous in many forms. The book will share many of those. But two that stand out for me were, first, at the beginning of this trial, they piled on 9 felony charges in superseding indictments with 180 years of prison time to pressure me into pleading guilty. And when I refused to plead guilty, they then railroaded me through a trial that was outrageously unfair with a hand-picked judge who blocked 98% of my evidence. This included things like our daughter's perfect test scores. They weren't allowed to be shown to the jury. My son's certified swim times were not allowed to be shown to the jury. The trial was so outrageous that the appeals court unanimously overturned all of my core convictions. Now, trials don't need to be perfect, but they do need to be fair.
Absolutely. How did this ordeal affect your life?
It's been devastating on multiple levels. As a father, I can't tell you how painful it is to see your children suffer, not because of false accusations by a schoolyard bully, but by false accusations by a federal prosecutor who said my son publicly was an alleged athlete. They knew he had a world record and played on the USC team. They said my daughters were unqualified, even though they knew they had perfect test scores. And it's also been devastating financially for our family. I lost my job at the peak of my career for over 6 years during this ordeal. And we've had to spend our entire life savings on legal fees to defend our family. And even though we won at the appeals court level, where do we go now to get our good names back?
Yeah, I am so sorry. I had no clue about all of this. And I feel horribly for you. I would like everybody to get your book. How do you get your book?
Yes, I would love people to read our story. It's important to note that none of the proceeds from this book will be going to us. It's all going to charity. For us, this is about getting our story and the truth out there. And they can buy the book on Amazon.com or any online book retailer. We also have a website called thescandalwithinthescandal.com, which has regular updates and information in that for your viewers.
So what is the media's role in this scandal?
Well, both the media and the USC have been complicit in this. Netflix in particular, we have a lawsuit against because they filmed and distributed a documentary, as they called it, before my trial even happened, which included 10 parents who confessed to crimes and me when they knew I was innocent and pleaded not guilty. So it devastated us before the trial even happened and poisoned the jury pool. Similarly, we're filing a lawsuit against USC for defrauding us. And so we're fighting these battles as we go forward.
Well, good luck with that. And again, please go and get John Wilson's book, The Scandal, The Varsity Blues, Scandal Within Scandal. And I wish you the best of luck in your continued righting the wrongs.
Thank you, Dr. Marissa. I appreciate that.
Yes. Thank you, John Wilson. We'll be right back with more Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa. And I hope you enjoyed that interview. I was completely shocked that happened to him, and I heard about the varsity scandal, but we'll talk more about that later because my very special guest is in studio. I know there's a lot of you who bookmarked this particular interview to come and learn from him again and certainly help celebrate my 13 years on the air, on camera, with someone who was with me 10 years ago. Please welcome to the studio, Chris Wark, and his wonderful, fabulous work and life and all that he's done for so many people on a alternative to chemotherapy solution. I love solutions to temporary problems, which is cancer in this case. Please welcome back Chris Wark.
Thank you, Dr. Marissa. Good to be with you. Good morning.
Wonderful to be with you again. And wow, look at behind you. This is what's happened in 10 years. You are continuing to be cancer-free. How many years now?
We are at 21 years since my cancer diagnosis of colon cancer.
I think in my 13th year, I'm definitely more liberal with my applause.
Great. It's great.
Yeah. So for those of you who didn't learn or meet Chris 10 years ago, just we went into great detail. I made him tell me like exactly, what happened, his wife's reaction. It's a great interview. You can all listen to that whole story on my YouTube TV channel. But maybe for like a little abridged version, Chris, tell us, like, why are you doing what you're doing right now?
Well, when you go through an extremely difficult season of life, it changes you. And hopefully for the better. Sometimes not, right? Some people go through difficulty and it changes them for the worse. But for me, it changed me for the better. And after surviving and thriving through cancer, diagnosed at 26, I had surgery. I refused chemotherapy. I chose a holistic path and radically transformed my life. I mean, I changed everything I could possibly change about my life. And that process was a process of self-discovery. It was a process of massive action where I was just looking at what in my life could be contributing to my disease. Like, and what do I need to replace in my life, right? What do I need to subtract from my life and replace with things that are health promoters instead of disease promoters? And diet was the first thing, but there's a lot more to it. But going through, and we can dig in, of course, but just to answer your first question in as succinctly as possible, when you go through something like that and you learn all these really valuable lessons about life and responsibility and truth and practical things, and I think it's human nature to want to share what you've learned. It's human nature to want to help people when you feel like you have something to contribute. And so I did. I felt like, wow, I've survived cancer. I did it in a way that was unconventional and in a way that I beat the odds, frankly, for a young adult colon cancer.
And it was stage 3, right? It was
Stage
not
3.
like, yeah, I want to highlight that this is not, catch it early. Fran Drescher, who's been on a couple of times, has wonderful information about preventing it. And then just so those of you who've just tuned in too, Chris Wark is not someone who sort of, had a lot of support for not doing the traditional, which is like somebody described it, or maybe it was you, like it's a conveyor belt. Like as soon as you get a diagnosis with cancer, you're on a conveyor belt, and it's just, radiation, surgery, chemotherapy, that's the normal, what you're going to expect. And, knock on wood, it's going to work, and then you'll be cancer free. My father, it didn't work. And, in hindsight, the chemo killed him when he had lymphoma. So I think that it's important to highlight that even your wife, your family wanted you to get on that conveyor belt because they cared about you and they didn't want you to die. And you're like, let me try this other stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, most people are completely uneducated. They're ignorant about cancer and about cancer treatment, and they just assume whatever the doctor is telling you to do has to be your best option, right? This has to be the best option available to you. If there was something better, surely they would know about it. And so well-meaning people around you, and around me, we're saying, no, you have to do chemo. You have to do what the doctor says, And, but my instincts and my intuition were telling me differently. I didn't have a good feeling about chemotherapy, and I just kind of had an innate sense that I was extremely vulnerable. I was in a fragile state. I didn't think I would survive chemotherapy. I didn't have a whole lot of experience with it. I didn't have any experience with it, but I knew it was highly toxic. I had seen what chemo does to people, right? With these harsh, incredibly brutal drugs, highly toxic drugs do to people. And so I had a resistance to it. I didn't want to do it. And I prayed about it. And I just said, God, if there's another way besides chemotherapy, please show me. I don't know what to do. And unfortunately, I within 2 days, I found a book on my doorstep that was mailed to me from a friend of my dad who lived in Alaska. And this book was about healing with raw food. And the man who wrote it, George Malcolmus, had healed his colon cancer with a raw food diet and juicing. And as I was reading his story, I was like, this is amazing. Like, I wonder what would happen if I adopted a raw food diet and started juicing and started overdosing. This is the sort of epiphany I had. What if I tried to overdose on nutrition? Right? Pretty hard to do, right? It's pretty hard to overdose. Overdose is sort of a negative term, right? It's not hard to overdose on drugs, but it's really hard to overdose on carrot juice, right? The worst thing that happens is you turn orange. So I did that, and I just decided I'm going to flood my body with as much anti-cancer nutrition as possible. And I started reading all about, nutrition versus cancer, and found other doctors and other books and a few other testimonials, survivor stories. And I found just enough at that time to give me just that tiny little mustard seed of faith to step out into the unknown, right? Like to step out of the boat. And so from there, I was just trusting God to lead me in the healing process, right? I was doing everything in my power. I was reading and researching and learning, but then I was also trusting him to lead me, because at the end of the day, you can certainly make the wrong choice, right? There are people who are cured by surgery alone for early stage cancer. There are a small number of people who are cured by chemotherapy. It's a small percentage, and it depends on the type of cancer, like childhood leukemia. Yes, highly curable with chemotherapy. Many lymphomas are curable with chemotherapy, even though your father wasn't cured. It has a pretty high success rate for lymphomas, but the solid tumor cancers, breast, colon, liver, lung, ovarian, cervical, brain, most of these types of cancers do not have high survival rates, and that's long-term survival. And the death rate from cancer has barely changed in 60 years. I mean, and
Wow.
that's the real telltale sign, is that the death rate from cancer has only improved about 5%.
In 60 years. That's
In
shocking to
60
me.
years. It is shocking. It is absolutely shocking. And now there's some good things happening. Immunotherapies are definitely helping, and their survivability is going up thanks to immunotherapies. Like there are some really good medications coming down the pipeline. But for the surgery, chemo, radiation approach, yeah, the results have been abysmal. Again, the death rate is the absolute measure. Like, how well are we doing against cancer, all cancers? Are we winning the war on cancer? And the answer is no, we have not been winning. When I say we, I mean the patients have not been winning. The pharmaceutical industry has been winning, right? They've made billions and billions of dollars, right? Surgeons and oncologists and pharmaceutical executives have made so much money treating cancer, but most patients are not surviving. And so, look, everything I'm saying now, I did not know
Yeah.
when I was diagnosed. Okay. I didn't know any of this, but I had my instincts, my intuition, and I just felt like I want to build my body up. I want to overdose on nutrition. I want to just see what would happen if I really take care of myself in a way that I never have before. And I'm just thankful that the Lord led me, that God led me through that process, through the wilderness. And I was able to heal and recover and survive. And like, here I am 21 years later.
Yeah,
And
that's something. And one thing that you said in the last interview that struck me is when you asked the doctor once you were diagnosed, what should I eat? What should I do differently? What should I, change? The answer was nothing. You mean I can eat
that's right.
whatever I want? And I also have had discussions with people who, if we look at what's changed for our generation or the generation before, and then the high incidence of cancer and autism. Let's just put that out there. And the one thing that people are finally getting smart around is processed food is the one across the board change, which does speak to diet, which does speak to microwave technology. I believe that also had something to do with my father's lymphoma. He was a microwave technologist. He was a professor of chemical engineering at University of Waterloo, and he was an inventor of various things. He's the reason why you can brown bread in the microwave now. But his life's work was around microwave technology. So, hello,
microwave radiation. Mm-hmm.
It is a real thing, and yet we don't question it. We don't pay attention to what's in the label, right? So certainly, that's why I gave you Dr. Marissa's beneficial presence on the planet. Is you not only went through this, you could have just, okay, I know how I'm doing it, but you put yourself out there and began to educate people and support people who said, I don't know what to do. And they're in that, conveyor belt confusion, I'll call it now. And for that, I'm going to give you that again. So Chris Wark wins Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award again. So that's your award one more time. And I really want you to give a message now to anyone who was just diagnosed because you've gone through this road on your own. What can you say specifically? And if you have friends, I see people in studio now, I see the eyeballs rolling in. You can share this. Chris Wark, who knows what you are going through intimately. So he has a message for you. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, the most important thing is that you've got to believe that healing is possible. That is the number one thing that, the difference between survival and people who don't survive, in so many cases, is this simple belief that healing is possible. And it's hard to believe that. Like, I understand that it's so discouraging and you feel like it's a death sentence when you get a cancer diagnosis, but I just want to encourage you. I have interviewed nearly 100 people in my spare time who have healed cancer, all types and stages, against the odds. You can find those interviews at ChrisBeatCancer.com. And if you type in the search bar, lymphoma or breast cancer or colon cancer, you will find these interviews, right, by cancer type. And when you start to pay attention and listen to people who've healed, you will see the common threads that healing is possible. And you'll start to understand, all these people who are surviving against the odds did the same things, right? And radical life change is sort of the umbrella term, right? There's a lot under it. And I wrote a book called ChrisBeatCancer, which is, over my shoulder or whatever, which goes deep on my story and everything I did. And of course, we can't go through a whole book in one interview, but it's there. You can find it anywhere. Books are sold, Amazon or wherever. But it's there for you. But the most important thing is, you've got to believe that healing is possible. And from there, I just want to encourage you, be willing to change your life, right? Be willing to change. There's a lot of cancer patients that they don't want to change. They don't want to change what they eat. They don't want to exercise. They don't want to give up fast food and junk food or Pepsi or Coke, or, you know what I'm saying? And they don't want to stop smoking. And so if you don't want to change, your odds are not good, right? But if you're willing to change your whole life and get on the healthy path, the choices that you make every day will have a significant impact on your survival, right? We're talking about the difference between survival and death. And that has nothing to do with the treatments you choose. And what I'm talking about is, it has everything to do with the choices that you make each day, right? The treatments have benefits, right? But healing happens at home. So the choices you make daily really have a huge impact, whether you're doing chemo or not, or you're having surgery or immunotherapy or whatever it is. Don't put all your eggs in that basket. You got to take control of your health. And so I'm just here to encourage people, to give them encouragement and hope and practical action steps that they can take, that I've just seen, not only that I took to help myself survive, but that I've seen people do the same things over and over and over again. I have a coaching program called Square One. We're actually putting it free online this month. So if someone goes to ChrisBeatCancer.com and they get on the email newsletter, we'll send you an email about it. You can go through my whole program for free.
That's just amazing.
Free. It's normally a paid program, and we're putting the whole thing online for free this month in May, and just to serve the community, because it's just awesome. We've done it multiple times, and you will see and learn and experience an incredible support community if you sort of plug into it, and you'll learn a lot, and you'll get motivated to change your life.
Yeah, absolutely. This is, let's see if we can get this up on the screen. There's this beautiful family. Let's go here. Is that going to show it? Nope. Here we go. Share this tab. It's my last, there we go. And things are not working.
You remind me of me trying to do a screen share, and
Thank you.
Yeah.
Normally it's a little easier than this. Did that work that time?
Yeah, there it is.
Let's see. There it is. Beautiful family.
Thank you.
Beautiful, wife and the girls. And how old are the girls now?
I'm embarrassed to admit this picture is a little outdated. My older daughter is now in college.
Wow.
And my younger daughter is a sophomore in high school. So I've got two sophomores. So we desperately need to update our family photo on the website. I update everything else on the website, but the main photo needs to be updated. So, but I'm pleased to say that I still look,
yeah, you look
the same age, and my wife does too.
You absolutely look great. You're hashtag ageless like me, because I was trying to think 10 years ago when I had you on, how many years had you been cancer free at that point?
Well, at that point, it'd been, it had been about 10 years,
10
right?
years.
I was
Okay.
about 10 years at that point, and now I'm 20, 21 years. And,
Wow. That's, yeah,
yeah, and you
there's
can
some,
see, thank you for scrolling, because you can see I interview a lot of doctors and experts,
yes.
and then you can see there that I interview a lot of survivors. So there's a whole section of holistic survivor interviews, as well as interviews with doctors and researchers and health and wellness experts. And so there's a Chris Beat Cancer podcast if people like to listen, or they can watch on YouTube. And we just kind of put it out there in a lot of different formats for folks that they can they can just dig in. The thing is, like, I don't have all the answers, but what I've done is I've compiled everything I've learned from my own experience and from what I've seen other people do to heal, and just
Mm,
distilled it down. And it's just very simple things. The truth
yeah.
is so simple. Like, eating a diet rich in fruits and vegetables, predominantly plant-based, is just wonderful for you. Exercise every day is wonderful. It actually strengthens your immune system.
Hmm.
Exercise does that for you. It's people think, oh, I just want to exercise to lose weight or exercise to look good on the beach. It's like, yeah, you can accomplish those things with exercise, but it also is strengthening your immune system, whether you realize it or not. So it's like, these are such
Absolutely.
simple things that if you'll just do them, you will get an incredible benefit. And so that's what I focus on. I don't really, there's a lot of sort of, uh, magic bullet, miracle cure type therapies out there that I don't endorse or
Hmm.
promote,
Hmm.
because some of them are just completely bogus, right?
Right.
What I focus on are the evidence-based
Hmm.
diet and lifestyle strategies that have been studied and proven to reduce your risk of ever getting cancer and increase your odds of survival if you're ever diagnosed. So that's what I focus on teaching.
Yeah, and I love this one because sleep, that people just if you're so stressed, you're not sleeping, that is really, your first line of, action really, to get enough sleep. And it varies. I don't need a lot, and I'm always told I don't get enough, but for me it's enough, right? So I know that. Sunlight, I didn't know that. That's good for you. Plants, forgiveness. And this is why I wanted to, because you are definitely a faith based belief. Your faith has contributed as a foundation for your healing, from the first, when you asked for a solution and you get the book out of nowhere. And I think you mentioned in the first interview that there was something else that, just what caught moments, I call them. What are the chances of that? That sort of, and you don't have to, if you're not religious. I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, but I do have a belief in a non-chaos, that there's the source and love and all of that. Faith, belief in something else other than you, I think is part of the solution, right? And
Just
then
for me.
forgiveness. And I wanted just you to speak to that, and because you've interviewed him, and certainly it's in that bigger, broader spectrum of attitude, right? Or your BS, your belief systems that propel you in the way that you live. Talk about that for me.
Absolutely. Well, most of what I learned about forgiveness, I learned through my faith, through the Christian faith. And because Jesus was a big, he talks about forgiveness a lot, right? If you read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, it's a constant theme, right, of his teachings is forgiveness and how powerful it is. And so eh, and by the way, I go deep on this in Chris Beat Cancer, the book, and also in Beat Cancer Daily, which is like a daily devotional that I wrote. But just simply put, when you hold on to anger, when you hold on to resentment and bitterness toward people who've hurt you, what you are doing is you are slowly poisoning yourself. Those negative thoughts and emotions, those, the anger, the hatred, the bitterness, they cause a physical reaction in your body. It makes your body secrete toxic chemicals, and those are cortisol primarily and adrenaline. Now, we think, well, those are certainly helpful hormones in the body in small doses, but in large doses, They're harmful. And so what happens is when you carry that anger, your body stays in a state of stress. Whether you're thinking about it or not, your subconscious knows that you have unresolved conflict. And so as you go through your daily life, you're in a state of chronic sort of simmering stress, smoldering stress from bitterness and resentment and unforgiveness. And over time, what that does is it increases inflammation and decreases your immune function. And those two factors are the drivers of cancer: inflammation and immunosuppression. And so, being mad at somebody for a few weeks or a month isn't going to give you cancer, right? It's the holding on to the anger for years, right? Or even decades that leads you down this health destroying path. And there's another component to it, which is we tend to self-medicate when we are unhappy, right? So when we have painful memories, unresolved emotional conflict, resentment, we will seek to self-medicate that pain. And how do we do that? Well, we do it through eating junk food. We do it through drugs and alcohol, cigarettes, right? We do
Numbers.
it through
I call them all numbers.
numbers.
Yeah.
Yes. We do it
Yeah.
through pornography, gambling, being
Shopping.
a shopaholic. Yes. Being a workaholic.
Mhm.
What else? Binge watching and sort of just like just checking out or just constantly scrolling on social media to distract yourself, right? It's like, if I can just distract myself, I won't think about my problems or the pain or my resentments or whatever. And so that also leads you down this health destroying path, right? Is all the ways that we self-medicate typically are not good for us, right? The only self-medication that is healthy is exercise. Okay. Some people, it's funny, there's a trend of sort of marathon runners and long distance runners. If you interview them, you'll find there's a lot of them that are former alcoholics and drug addicts. And what they have found is that running and exercise has replaced that, what they were self-medicating with. And that's good. That's actually positive. But
well, that's why
point,
they come runners high. My father
runners
told me about that.
And
Yeah.
they have done legit science on the benefits of exercise, and it is an incredibly effective antidepressant. It just is. It works better than the drugs.
Yeah.
They've studied exercise head to head versus antidepressant drugs. It works better. But anyway, so back to the stress thing. So we self-medicate in ways that are destructive, and the stress itself is harmful to our physical body. And so once you have that light bulb, like that revelation, like, okay, stress is not good. I need to reduce stress from my life. I need to probably need to forgive, because when you forgive, you're letting go of the anger and the bitterness and the resentment, right? You're just putting it down. You're just saying, I'm not going to carry this anymore, right? I'm not going to carry it. I'm not going to hold on to it. I'm going to release it. And it's a decision that you make. It's not a feeling, because you don't feel like it. I get it. You don't want to do it. You want to hold on. We want to hold on to resentment and anger, like, because we feel justified, right? If someone wrongs you, like, you have every right to stay angry.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
do.
My bonus dad calls it righteous indignation.
That's right.
Is one of the most dangerous places to be, because it'll keep you there because you think you have the right to, but it is very, and you're not doing forgiveness for them. Like if you're like, well, I'll be the bigger person and forgive them, then don't bother forgiving. This is not because you're better than them. It's because you love yourself enough not to have cortisol and toxins generated in your body. I love myself enough to release it so I don't feel it. And Chris, I don't know if you know this, my book, 8 Ways to Happiness, that's done very well, is all about loving yourself first, that choice, so that you're the boss of you, right? And your choices, as you were saying, whether it's eating or exercising or forgiving, it's all about, taking back. Your biggest tool in life is choice. but we're all in this conveyor belt of people telling us what we should think or what we should react to or how we, all this stuff that is just bullshit-talky. It's BS that will lead you to sickness.
Yes, absolutely. And it really is, when you forgive, you are doing it for yourself. That is
Yeah.
the reason to do it, because you realize this is bad for me. Holding on to this anger is bad for me. And so what I did was, once I had the big epiphany, I just realized, okay, I've got to forgive every person who's ever hurt me. Right? I'm going to forgive every person who's ever hurt me, one by one, by name, not in person. You don't have to go meet with them, right? But if you sit quietly and you decide, okay, it's forgiveness time, you sit quietly with no distractions, maybe in a prayerful state, and you just say, okay, who do I need to forgive? Right? Who's hurt me? And you just kind of think through your life. You let those memories come up of people that have come and gone in your life from as far back as you can remember. And just one by one, you just think, oh man, that person, yeah, like, oh man, that kid was so mean to me. I picked on me on the playground in 3rd grade, and like I went home crying or something. This didn't happen, but I'm just giving an example, right? Actually, but I have been picked on, and I have cried as a little kid, so it's true. That actually is true. So but like you just remember those little things that you think, oh, that's some insignificant little nothing, but you know what? I'm gonna choose to forgive that person right now. And so I would just say, God, you know what they did, and you know they hurt me. But I'm choosing to forgive them, and I'm letting it go, and I'm giving it to you, right? They're all yours. I'm not going to carry this anymore. That's just the simple forgiveness prayer. But I like to sort of finish it by saying, and I'm asking you to bless them. Right?
Yeah, that's
I'm asking
graduate
you.
school.
It's great. I know it's right. This is, you really want to seal the deal. And I know it's hard. It's hard to hear this, but if you really want to seal the deal, you say, God, I forgive them. I'm letting it go. And I'm asking you to bless them. I'm asking you to bless the person that hurt me. I don't want you to, but I'm asking you to.
Right.
Right. And there's a difference. Like I believe that God knows our hearts, right? He knows your heart, and he knows you want them to be struck by lightning. Right? He knows. But the fact that you humble yourself and you just say, God, I'm asking you to bless them, this in spite of how much they've hurt me, in spite of what I'd like to see happen to them, I'm asking you to bless them. I'm telling you, this will heal your heart.
Yes.
It will heal your heart.
Which is, you can do all the juicing and the carroting and all of that. That component is important. Exercise component is important, but equally as important is your entire being, which Chris Wark is beautifully speaking to. Forgiveness is probably the number one tool, I would say, that makes a huge impact in beating cancer, which is what Chris Wark has done. We're coming up on the end of the show. Please do go to his website. Very easy to remember, Chris Beat Cancer. And I would love for you to go and get his free program right now. Let's see, I zoomed in too much here. Which is called, what is it?
It's called Square One, but if they sign up for my email newsletter, it's free. And then we'll send you an email. Yeah, we'll send you an email about the program, and you can get free access to my entire cancer coaching program for free this month in May, and go through it. You'll learn a ton. I mean, if healing is a priority for you, or prevention is a priority, or you're trying to help someone else as a caregiver, please tune in, watch the program, and just join our community of survivors and thrivers. You will find your people.
Absolutely. Last question. What are you most grateful for?
I am most grateful for life. I am so grateful for life, that God has preserved my life for today, that I could be on your program today, right? And just share with you and catch up with you for a few minutes, and hopefully be encouragement to your audience. But I mean, I am so sensitive to every good thing that I have in life. I've got a beautiful wife, 2 just incredible daughters. just a loving family, a home, like a car. You know what I mean? I just am so thankful.
And there's the gratitude sandwich. Thanks so much.
Yes.
Peace. You remember this? It's all about balance. If you could put your peace sign up, it's all about balance. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. Now, y'all go and have the best day ever. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much, Chris Wark.